We begin with breaking news tonight. The leader of Fargo Public Schools will be announcing his retirement tonight. A spokesperson for the district says Dr. Jeff Schatz will be announcing his retirement from the Fargo Public School District at tonight's board meeting. We've learned Dr. Schatz will finish the 2017-2018 school year, and his retirement will go into effect June 30th of next year. He's retiring after 32 years of K-12 education. We will be at that meeting tonight to get reaction to the announcement, so watch for those updates tonight on Valley News Live at 9 on the Fargo CW and Valley News Live at 10. How about that wind? Earlier today, the wind was so strong it tore off panels on the side of the Radisson in downtown Fargo. And in Beltrami County, emergency management is posting about winds that are gusting well over 40 miles an hour, taking down trees along the way. Crews were busy today getting those cleaned up. Let's go over to Hutch to find out when the wind will die down. Hutch?
Well, it is on its way down before it rises again for a day tomorrow. Wind speeds today peaked at almost 50 miles per hour at numerous locations, mainly in the Northern Valley here into the Fargo area, and wind speeds down south almost 40 miles per hour. We see a few clouds up in north central Minnesota. Wind advisory remains in effect through 6 o'clock tonight for our easternmost counties across Minnesota. Wind speeds there still gusting over 30 miles per hour at times, but it's rapidly decreasing elsewhere out to the west. So in the FM area tonight, temperatures slipping down into the 20s for much of our late evening, with wind speeds that will slowly shift and become southerly. Likewise for Grand Forks, low 20s by bedtime tonight. We're expecting the winds to continue and pick up again tomorrow, but south winds usually mean warmer weather, Andrea, and in the forecast with several more days of warmth to talk about. A few chances of rain. I'll tell you when our next chance of snow is coming up here as well in the next few minutes.
All right, thanks, Hutch.
You bet.
Between a church and the Salvation Army, a house with UND students was busted with 60 pounds of pot. Neighbors are shocked. Now Valley News Team's Ryan Laughlin digs into surprising drug trends on the campus of the University of North Dakota.
It's quiet. Nothing really goes on. People walking around, families, kids, walking pets.
Neighbors say they were surprised to hear that in this house, cops pulled out over $330,000 worth of marijuana.
Never had a problem with them. They were just in and out, never any loud parties or anything.
Cade Hoban and Mark Hildahl, both UND students from the Minneapolis area, were arrested last week. Their house was being watched by the Grand Forks Narcotics Task Force, who assisted in the arrest. Their agency declined comment, but the University of North Dakota police shed some light on drugs on campus.
If you have a lot of different types of drugs or narcotics, it can obviously impact your community.
UND police say in the past 2 years, they've only busted 2 people for intent to deliver, one of the charges that were forwarded for Hoban and Hildahl, but that doesn't mean there aren't other charges. This year, 144 drug-related offenses on campus, mostly for paraphernalia and possession. But the most surprising thing is that number is actually down, way down. Drug offenses through November last year were at 254. That's around 100 fewer times the cops have busted people on campus. But that's not all students.
We don't automatically, hey, are you a UND student? I see you've got this drug on here. Are you a UND student?
Those numbers reflect anyone busted on campus. Back off campus?
They were great neighbors, to be honest. Never would have known.
Surprise from people that the biggest drug bust in years was on their block. From Grand Forks, Ryan Laughlin, Valley News Live.
Both men have been charged with felony intent to deliver. Their next court appearances are set for January 3rd. A major development in the murder of Savannah Greywind. One of the people accused in her death is now expected to change her not guilty plea. Brooke Cruz has a plea change hearing scheduled for December 11th. Cruz is charged with conspiracy to commit murder, kidnapping, and providing false information to law enforcement. Greywind's body was pulled from the Red River near Harwood on August 27th, about a week after she disappeared from her North Fargo apartment. The other person charged in the case, William Hain, is scheduled to be in court a week from tomorrow. The baby that Greywind was carrying survived and is living with her father. We now know the names of a man and woman found dead after falling through the ice on Upper Red Lake. Police say 33-year-old Melissa Seidenstricker of Princeton, Minnesota, and 29-year-old Zeth Zinfazen of Stacy, Minnesota, were on the lake ice fishing when they failed to return to a resort on Sunday. The couple's bodies were found yesterday. An ATV used by the couple was also found in a hole in the ice. 2 people are in jail after an assault in northern Minnesota. The alleged attack happened yesterday at a home in St. Hilaire in Pennington County. 27-year-old Guadalupe Peralta of Thief River Falls, pictured on the right, and 26-year-old James Shagabe of St. Hilaire on the left are both being held in the Pennington County Jail. Investigators say more arrests are expected. Defense Secretary James Mattis says today's intercontinental ballistic missile fired by North Korea went higher than any of their previous tests. Mattis briefed President Trump for the camera during a White House meeting with Republican leaders and other agency officials.
A little over 2.5 hours ago, North Korea launched an intercontinental ballistic missile. It went higher, frankly, than any previous shot they've taken. It's a research and development effort on their part to continue building ballistic missiles that could threaten everywhere in the world, basically. And in response, the South Koreans have fired some pinpoint missiles out into the water to make certain North Korea understands that they could be taken under fire by our ally. But the bottom line is it's a continued effort to build a ballistic missile threat that endangers world peace, regional peace, and certainly the United States.
President Trump said the North Korean missile program is, in his words, a situation we will handle. President Trump made his 3rd appearance on Capitol Hill in a little over a month to sell tax reform, while the top 2 congressional Democrats pulled out of their White House meeting with the president. Weijia Jiang reports from Capitol Hill.
President Trump criticized Democrats Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi for failing to show up for a meeting at the White House Tuesday afternoon.
They've been all talk and they've been no action. And now it's even worse. Now it's not even talk.
The congressional leaders were supposed to sit down and discuss solutions to avoid a government shutdown.
There are serious issues in front of us. We don't have time to waste. We don't have games to play.
Schumer and Pelosi pulled out after President Trump attacked them on Twitter and wrote, "I don't see a deal." The president was on Capitol Hill earlier today to rally Republicans around a tax overhaul bill.
I wish you could have been inside that room. It was very, very special. The camaraderie. It was somewhat of a love fest. They want to see it happen.
The GOP is still trying to win over holdouts.
We do have a few members who have concerns, and we're trying to address them.
The GOP can afford to lose only 2 votes. Democrats say they'd be willing to help if Republicans would negotiate. More than a dozen Democrats insisted they could find common ground.
We're saying, why work on getting 51 votes? Why don't you work on getting 60 votes? Here we are. 70. Yep. 70. We can get you up to 70.
Tuesday afternoon, the Budget Committee passed the GOP plan, sending the tax bill to the full Senate for a vote that's expected this week. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
2 Republican senators who have expressed concerns about the bill joined GOP colleagues to get it passed out of the committee. We now know the names of the 2 people who were hit by a car while crossing the street last night in Grand Forks. It happened around 8:15, just north of Highway 2 in the northern part of town. The driver of the car, 49-year-old Gary Coulter, hit 52-year-old Thomas Kenville and 22-year-old John Peterson. They're all from Grand Forks. The 2 pedestrians were taken to a hospital to be treated for injuries. We don't yet know how badly they were injured. The case is still under investigation, and no charges have been filed at this time.